Hey, everybody. The New York City Football Club, they will look to remain unbeaten on the road. It'll be quite a task in Vancouver against the Whitecaps. We've got that and a whole lot more on this week's NYCFC Views Live.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. NYCFC Views.
Collins approaches the shot, and New York City wins the first MLS Cup on their first try, and they're going crazy. Tiene el tiro y gol! Gol! New York City es el campeón de Major League Soccer.
The sickest New York City FC podcast. It's gonna be sick.
Hey, everybody. I'm Glenn Crooks. There he is at Rob Abramowitz. He doesn't have a full name. He's got an X name. That's how we call Rob at Rob all week long. How you doing, Roberto?
I'm doing fine, thank you. Good to be back.
Do you know what your blue sky name is?
Roberto Abramowitz.
Oh, but there's more stuff after that, right? I mean,
yeah, at bluesky.com or whatever they do. They're at B-Sky, I think it is, the way it works. So, yeah,
so
it's there. So I don't have the same one everywhere. I wanted to do Roberto Abramowitz on Twitter, but there was a character limit, and so I wasn't able to do it.
Oh, my goodness.
That's the reason it's at Rob Abramowitz and not Roberto.
I didn't know.
Or even Robert.
This is great. Maybe we can use that as trivia at some point when we give away more Raquinho cards or something.
Ooh, swag. You know, I'm a big fan of swag. I just really am. I get upset. I'll be honest with you. Like when New York City has a giveaway, like first 10,000 fans, I'm bummed that they're not giving it to everybody in the press box. I think it would be great for everybody in the press box to have it. Not just me, but everybody in the press box. I think it creates a very positive feeling about the team because we're like that.
Well, what you should run down into your seats and get your thing, and then come back up. You'll have time to do your pregame and all that. You know.
I guess I could. I guess that's one way of doing it.
Yeah. Well, we do have a broadcast coming up. Vancouver is the opponent, and it's going to be at BC Place. It's going to be on artificial turf.
Yeah.
And it's I was kind of surprised because I thought, like with Gillette and Mercedes-Benz, that the grass would have already been placed down. But we hear it's not going to be put down until May.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure what the difference is. Maybe because the roof opens, but I don't know. See how that would make a difference because Gillette is an open stadium.
It might be that they might have concerts or something between now and whenever they can put it in. And to have a concert on top of that sort of grass sort of ruins the grass. Remember what happened at the Sports Illustrated Stadium during Leagues Cup? Yeah. That the field was horrific because they had a concert there. So if something like that is happening, then they're going to hold off until the very end and get as many events in and then put the grass down, which makes financial sense.
The Sports Illustrated Stadium, I don't know if you saw, they're going to be, it used to be Liberty State Park. Well, now Sports Illustrated Stadium is going to be kind of the home of on the Jersey side of the river of the World Cup festivals. I guess they haven't specified the exact dates or how many days they'll be there, but I kind of looked into that, and they're resodding the whole field when the World Cup's over. So before the next game is played at Sports Illustrated Stadium, they'll have a brand new pitch. So that's definitely happening. But because I guess if that's the case, you can just let everybody just tramp around the field, I suppose.
Yeah, I guess you can do that. Maybe they'll put seats there and everything, and they'll show the games on the big screen.
It sounds cool. No, people are going to be on the field, and they're going to have screens. They're going to have different little areas to do whatever. They'll probably have some little contests and things. But it really sounded. I think inside a stadium is a pretty cool. I've never done that because I know they do that. Like if a game is a road game, and for the Super Bowl or the World Cup final or whatever, there's a stadium full of supporters. Who will watch the game.
NBA, NHL do that a lot,
Yeah.
where you can buy tickets at Madison Square Garden. You can actually get into the Garden for a decent price, but to go watch it on the big screen while they're playing in either Boston, Toronto, or Cleveland or wherever. You know how much tickets were like yesterday? The median price of a ticket for the Knicks Celtics. You want to take a guess? Medium price resale.
I can't guess because I don't keep track of it. I just haven't been to the Garden in a long, long time.
Just what would seem outrageous to you?
$250.
That's outrageous. That's like a cheap ticket to get into the Garden.
So yeah, it's like
the median seat.
I'm the wrong person to ask. I don't know.
The median seat was over $1,100 for last night.
Well,
and by the way, whoever did get them, at least they got themselves a hell of a game and a fantastic finish. Jumped out of our seats. I was hanging out at 181, the place that I go and I watch sporting events here in Washington Heights. I'll be there right after this podcast, by the way. I'm going there to watch the Knicks tonight again. So if anybody here in the neighborhood wants to go, you can come, Glenn. We'll invite you.
Because I'm watching the Splashdown. This is a huge night. You shouldn't be watching the Knicks. You should be watching Artemis 2 and these astronauts.
We have more than one TV set, and I control the remote.
I see. Well,
so that's the way that works. I will put it on.
Make sure you're watching that.
What time is the Splashdown?
8:07. So
we have to be out of here 7:45. Okay, we have to be out 7:45.
All right, I'll do my best.
Yeah, well, you're in charge. So if we don't, it's on you.
Well, before we get to Vancouver, let's go back to this St. Louis City match, which spoke to Pascal today for the pregame show. So I've got a couple of things from him, and I am going to play the commentary on the English side of both goals in this game, but in particular the second goal, because I want you to hear Matty Lawrence, my co-commentator, describe exactly what he thought of the defending on that. But Pascal is pretty plain with his analysis too. But look, I went back and watched the game again, Roberto, and it really is a difficult draw to take when you consider. Go back to Keaton Parks with that volley off the rebound from about 15 yards that he just didn't get on frame, didn't quite get over it. I mean, that's 1-0 in the third minute. Nico Fernandez-Mercado had three. One, he scored a goal, but it was offside, and then he had two other really unbelievable chances. Berkey made an incredible save on Ojeda. So all those things happened. No goals there. But the one goal was this from the guy from Austria.
Here's Hannes Wolf up the middle to Maxi Morales. Back to Wolf. Right-footed shot. It's a goal! The combination between Wolf and Maxi Morales, and Hannes Wolf with the right foot just slipped it past Berkey on the back post side. On the deck, firm, precise, and 5 minutes into the second half, New York City takes the 1-0 lead.
It's a glorious finish from Hannes Wolf. It's not about any pace, it's just the precision. It's a bobbly little finish, and it beats Berkey.
And mentioned Parks earlier, and Keaton started that with a sliding tackle in the midfield that poked the ball loose to Wolf, and then what ensued there. So
the pass from Maxi.
Yeah.
The pass from Maxi is just perfect. It's just absolutely perfect. And give Hannes Wolf a lot of credit for being able to go far post and beating Berkey, which was not an easy task. Not an easy day. He's a really good goalkeeper. And he had a very good night. And that was part of the reason why New York City didn't win. I got a couple of thoughts on this, okay? There were two things that stood out to me, okay? One, New York City created a lot of very, very good chances, and they continue to do this. They're the number 2 team in the league in goals scored with 14. By the way, they play number 1, which is Vancouver, which has 17 goals scored. But the amount of chances that they gave up, point-blank chances, okay, it's pretty alarming in a way. They gave up way too many chances, and they were lucky by the fact that St. Louis is just horrific finishing chances, except for the last one. Except for the last one on the diving header. But they were horrific in front of goal. And yes, Matt Freese made a couple of really good saves. But at the same time, the amount of shots that they had that they put over the bar, to the side of the bar, into defense, into all these places, a better finishing team would have punished New York City a lot.
Well, what did they statistically? They were credited for 7 attempts on goal, St. Louis. So I
attempts on goal. No, they had 14 total shots, 3 shots on target.
Oh, you know what? No, I just put FOBMOB up, and for some reason it went to the 60th minute. So forgive me. Yes, there's your 14 shots. Yeah,
14 shots, 3 on target. You know, they had 24 touches in the New York City box, and according to FOBMOB, and I never get what this is, 1 big chance. So
yeah, I don't know what big chance, but I don't remember. You called them point blank. I don't really recall. There was one inside the area that was over the bar. I think that was Hartle, and I'm not remembering point blank shots that Matt Freese had to save.
No, he did it because they kept on shooting him everywhere except on goal.
All right. Well, look.
Hence, out of the 14 shots, only 3. I mean, he had to make 2 saves because they couldn't shoot straight.
Yes.
I remember joking during the game that it was a gang that couldn't shoot straight.
Well, again, after watching it again today, I didn't think they were particularly dangerous with their shots. I just not just because they couldn't put them on target. And the ones that Matt saved, I mean, he had to get down for it. One was wide of the one was wide of the post. So he got credit for his save there, but he had to save it, and put it out for a corner because you're never quite certain. Mm-hmm. So the one he dove to his right for a shot from the outside, which was a very good save, and using the long body, which, hopefully will come into play in the World Cup when he'll have to come up with some saves.
Yeah. Go put Quinney up for a second. Last one.
All right.
You know what the XG in this game was? 140 for St. Louis, 114 for New York City.
Well, that's ridiculous. It's stupid. It doesn't make sense. Nico Fernandez for Mercal should have been 2.0 by himself. Come on. Seriously.
But I mean, that's what it is. I mean,
yeah,
the point being is that they put themselves in position to be able to score, and then they just blew the shots.
Okay, so here we go. So Quinney, I don't care who it is on here. Somebody explain to me how New York City's expected goals, all right, is 1.14 per FOBMOB when Ojeda nearly megged Berkey, and who made an incredible save. That's a goal. That should be at least 0.9 or 0.85, right? Fernandez Mercal had one from the top of the area, a free shot. He hit it like a bullet, but right at Berkey. I mean, that's got to be a 0.3 or 4. So we're already more on 2 shots. And then Fernandez Mercal was stuffed by Berkey late in the game on a breakaway. So what? And Fernandez Mercal misses an open goal. I don't care if it's 50 yards or not. The net was empty on that. All he had to do was empty. It was empty. So
I think the wind at City Field. Maybe one of the jets was passing by, and the tail of that took the ball a little bit wide.
Here's what I would say, Roberto. After again watching it again today, if New York City won the game 4-2 or 4-1, it wouldn't have been a shock. That's how I thought the game was played. Anyway, here, but they didn't score any more goals.
No.
And, hold on, where's Quinney? I gotta get rid of you, Quinney. Where are these things? All right, Quinney, you're out.
We love you, Quinney. Don't listen to Glenn.
All right, so here's the 6 minute of stoppage time, and this is after some curious substitutions, which I also asked Pascal about. It was curious to us because there's so many changes at the back. But here's the game-winning goal. Then we'll talk about it, Roberto.
Here's a right-footed service towards the middle of goal, and it's in! St. Louis City has equalized in the 96th minute! And a startled, agonizing group in their Excelsior blue and Matt Freese in his purple. And at the death, St. Louis City has gained a point on the road. It's McSorley who's getting the hugs, and it was a service that was free. O'Toole could not close down quickly enough, and Matt Freese got a piece, but couldn't keep it out of the back of the net for New York City.
What a ball in this is from McNaughton, the substitute to a fellow sub, McSorley. But McSorley's playing in between the 2 centre-halves. They're both Brazilian, they both speak Portuguese. Apparently they've got a good relationship. and he just sits in between the two of them, and Raul Gustavo watches him run in behind Thiago Martins, and it's a great little deft flick of the head from McSorley. Nothing Matt Freese can do about this.
So, a little bit before that, 3 changes were made on the back line. Kai Truen went from left central defense to right back. Raul Gustavo came in, and as you'll hear from Pascal, mostly because of how he can challenge in the air game. Well, unfortunately, that didn't work out. And then Nico Cavallo at left back. Kevin O'Toole moves into the midfield, joining Johnny Shore. So that 6-player group in front of Matt Freese, pretty interesting. Only Thiago Martins was the only player out of that 6 that started in the same or that was in the same position through this at this critical point in the match. Now, do you want to comment now, or do you want to hear Pascal first? What do you want to do? You can.
The one thing I'll say though is that Raul and Shore came in the 75th minute, and then Cavallo came in the 88th. So I mean, they should have. It's not like a last second adjustment. The Cavallo one probably is. You can make an argument for that. But I was just stunned. And I think at the end, when after the goal is scored, you look at Martins, and he turns towards Cavallo as if like Cavallo let him go onside, kept him onside, but he was just clearly onside anyway, no matter what. I don't know if he was trying to play an offside trap for a second, if that's what they were trying to do, but they both just clearly got beat on the first step, and he was gone before they reacted really, really slow. I'm very curious to see what Pascal had to say.
Well, before I play him, and he's got a reason for Shore coming in and Cavallo coming in. He's going to explain everything. But if you're going to pull an offside trap, or you're going to pull, you have to get up together, and you have to get up rapidly. Neither Thiago nor Raul, move forward. Once that ball's played backwards, and that's the visual cue. If you got to move, if you're trapping, then you're bringing everybody up, and that didn't happen either. All right. So here's Pascal on the game-winning goal. This is a conversation I had with him earlier today. I do want to ask about a coaching decision, and that is the way you dealt with your back line in the latter stages of the game. Because in essence, you made 3 changes by moving Truen out wide right, and then Raul Gustavo comes in, and Nico Cavallo, and then Kevin O'Toole goes into the midfield with Johnny Shore. So when you look at that group of 6, it's a group that hasn't played together that much, and now you're protecting this 1-goal lead in essence. So what went into the decisions there?
Yeah, well, like you mentioned just now, Glenn, it's about protecting your lead, but it's more how you protect your lead. And that's what I tried to address just now. Looking back at the changes we had to make in this game, we had the Aussies come back from a trip which took them to the other side of the world, and Ado even played 2 games, and Kai played 1 game and a short period in the first game. But Ado was finished. His casts were gone. So we tried to postpone his substitution as long as possible. But at one point, he couldn't go anymore, and so we had to take him off. And you also know at one point in the game, if you don't score the second one and they take more risk in their play, they will look for moments through the air as well. So with the height of Raul Gustavo next to Thiago Martins, that is something that we anticipated. And making sure that once they do play aerial balls, that we have the height and the power and the strength and the physicality to deal with these type of situations. The changes that we've made were according to what we thought would be the game state and the game flow at the time. The issue I have is what I said just now. When you sit deep, it doesn't mean you become passive. You have to stay aggressive on the front foot in a low block. You have to make sure, if you go back to the goal, which we conceded, you stay aggressive and you avoid balls going into the box. And if somehow you have the intensity and the urgency to defend that cross into the box, but it still goes in, you have to deal with it in the air. And that's something we failed to do in this particular moment, which cost us, like I said, the 2 points unnecessary.
Yeah, so I don't know how you guys felt. Maddie and I thought that the Aussies were both coming off at the 75th minute. That's when Johnny Shore came on for Parks and Gustavo for Gray. And we were like, okay, well, we got that wrong because of just what he said. So Truen had a little bit more left. And the one explanation I didn't get because I did not follow up, Tavon Gray came out, and I'm not quite sure why that was. So, and I don't know if you have any insight on that, but
I have none. I have none. I was sort of surprised that maybe it has to do with how physically fit he is. Well, we'll have to see. I'm trying to think if it was. No, I can't think of anything really of why, for whatever coach's decision. So something that he saw and, remember, he's got him at that part of the game. He's got him running up and down right next to him. So maybe he noticed something that, wasn't apparent to us at 100 yards away. So there's that. Now, when you look at the play again, right? And we hope that the good folks at YouTube don't flag that video. But
let them flag away. I don't understand. These videos are available to us in the media to utilize.
I know, but YouTube uses a bot to flag these things. It doesn't use a human being. So we got to figure out a way of figuring that out. Let me go back to my point.
Sorry.
So Ojeda, I believe, is the guy who's closest to the crosser.
No,
Kevin O'Toole. Ojeda?
It's Kevin O'Toole.
Okay, I'm sorry. From that distance.
No, and you notice it, but you notice that Pascal doesn't call him out by name, but it was really obvious that the fact that was not denied was something that I'm sure.
And you talk about that all the time, right? And you talk about that part all the deny service.
Yeah.
So that's one of the key parts of being able to defend, especially in the late going. Is to deny service, but they couldn't deny the service there. And it was a gorgeous cross and a better header.
Yep. So that was a 3-point tie for St. Louis and a 1-point loss for New York City. But New York City remains in second place in the table. So that's one thing to look at. But going into Vancouver, and before we get to that, there was one in this international break. And I'm going to play a Pascal clip here, too, because he said something very interesting in the presser, and I followed up on it. Drew Baera, torn ACL with the U19s, the US U19s in Spain. And it was on grass, but it's the second injury like this on international break. Alonso Martinez last October. That was on a very bad turf in Curacao. But so I brought this up with Pascal, the injuries and the international break. And, it's just these were always tough moments. But here's what he had to say. You mentioned in your presser, you're not quite sure how to address these things when you look at it. I'm not sure what you really mean by that. I mean, if it's an international break, you have to let them go, right?
No, that's true. But we do have to make sure, and that is part of the conversation that we're having within the club. Also have a voice in where they play, what kind of surface and what are the circumstances. Because if you look at the situation with Alonso, unfortunately, this game was played on turf also back in October.
In Curacao, where, the much talked about Curacao, but go ahead.
Yeah, but still, the surface wasn't ideal. And unfortunately, Alonso came back with a severe injury. It's very bad for the kid, for the guys in this matter, because they're not able to play the game for at least 8 to 9 months. And now with Drew having a similar injury during a similar period with the national team, it's hard, but mainly hard on the guys themselves, because they will not be able to play the game for such a long time and have to deal with a long rehab in order to get back at their level. Hopefully, once they finish their rehab.
Pretty interesting. That they want some sort of relationship so they might control how the player plays or where the player plays.
I mean, I could see it maybe at the younger, at some of the youth levels games where they're saying, look, we don't really like that surface and we're going to protect them. You can't deny Alonso Martinez to go play for Costa Rica in a World Cup qualifying game that signifies you advancing or not. Doesn't matter if they're playing on pebbles or on lava. You can't stop them.
Yeah. Yeah. No, but it's a rough one though. It is rough. And obviously the Martinez one was, the club suffered more because of the goals lost, but Baera filling a role that's really important behind Tavon Gray and then developing as the homegrown. And he was getting some minutes here, made his MLS debut here in 26. So, and like you said, it's so terrible for the kid.
And they confirmed that it's an ACL. It's an ACL tear. We were told this, but we were asked not to mention exactly what the injury was, but now they've put it out there. So we can talk about it. There's a lot of people that had asked me and like, I won't tell anybody, let me know. And I was like, I can't do that. So, but now you know, and that's the official injury. It's a shame. ACL tears are hard because it takes you a long time to get back to, you'll be able to play, but to get your speed back and the explosiveness back, that takes even longer.
All right. And he hasn't had the surgery yet, and oftentimes they wait for the swelling, make sure that they're perfectly ready for that. What else did I want to show you here? No, I guess that was it. Do I have anything else for Roberto? No. I thought might have something else queued up to get your opinion on. So on to Vancouver here. So speaking of surfaces, so Roberto, what you found a story. So we don't have confirmation on anything either one of us is going to say.
Yes.
But you found a story because it's in regard to grass versus the artificial surface, because Mercedes-Benz put grass down. Gillette has put grass down. So both New England and Atlanta in MLS are playing on grass right now. But this weekend, New York City goes to the Pacific Northwest, and they're playing on an artificial surface. So why is that, Roberto?
Well, the reason being is that they're waiting until later to be able to put the grass in. And they haven't fully explained why, but it will be before, I think, a couple of exhibition games that they're going to have at that stadium at BC Place before they're able to put the grass in. So it's a shame because their turf is not ideal anymore. It used to be, but that was like 12 years ago when Frank Lampard was around. And Lampard told me after the game that he played, he goes, "Oh, this is a really good surface."
You've told that story. You've told that story about 10 times. And I mean, it's like it's ridiculous. That turf is awful. I don't care what it was
now,
then.
I'm saying that then it was good. Now it is awful. Right. And I'm 100% with you that it's awful. It looks terrible and it plays terrible. So right now they say the permanent grass conversion is scheduled for the MLS break window. So they're looking into late May into early June. They expect it to be down for the Australia versus Turkey match. And that is of concern of New York City because New York City has 2 players that might participate in that game.
Well, what's the date of that match? That friendly?
In June, I believe.
Well, that's fine. May 23rd.
That's a World
May
Cup
23rd. Match. May 23rd is the last game New York City will play before the World Cup. Right,
Australia-Turkey is a World Cup match, by the way. That is within the group within the U.S.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's right. That makes total sense. It's Turkey, has come to fray. Yeah.
That'd be a good game to go watch.
Well, I'm not going to the Pacific Northwest, although, it would be nice, but it's not happening. I'm going to stay around the MetLife area. How's that?
Yeah.
Well,
you're getting a credential, so yes.
But there's some great Senegal, France, England, Norway are all playing matches there.
Yeah, that's going to be fun. So friends of mine got tickets to Senegal and France. They're French. And nice. They're very excited. They were paid $500, but now they're finding out that their seats are probably moved because they were promised that they would be somewhere like in a middle area. They didn't say what seats or what section, but they had like whited out this area in front, like somewhere between the boxes and all that. And now they find out they're behind the goal. Thank you, FIFA.
It's
bait and switch. It's
Well, it's
horrific.
the details are really well put by Henry Bushnell in The Athletic. So he's been following this from the outset, and exactly what you said, Roberto. I just read it this morning, where they changed the designs of the tiering or the sections. I forget exactly what they called it, so that when you bought the ticket, you thought you were going to be anywhere within wherever the red was, let's say.
Yeah.
And now the red has been changed.
Right, because now the red got elevated to premium section, and therefore those are more expensive tickets, and you got kicked off to the side. It's just horrific. I mean, I'm telling you, it's like every time I read something else about the World Cup, I get less enthused about it.
Well,
because it's horrific. It's such a terrible cash grab. I'm telling you, I miss Sepp Blatter. I miss Sepp Blatter. This is how poor this is.
It's funny you're bringing this up, and I'm sure it's being discussed globally at this point, but certainly within the States, is that I still think once the games begin, they will take over our interest, except if something happens outside of a stadium, without getting too specific here, and then all of a sudden that'll become a part of the story. So
can you put the last comment up?
Sure.
No, now we're getting lots of them. I'm talking about the massive. No, not that one. Well, yeah, it's a KP. I'm agreeing. I'm probably going to do that as well. That one there. Who's stopping FIFA? Who is stopping FIFA? Nobody's stopping FIFA.
Well, they're being
sued. Because the whole government is in cahoots with them.
There are lawsuits. Well, there are lawsuits out there already, and these people, a lot of people who are getting switched out are starting to file civil suits.
I hope they sue them into the ground.
Yeah, it'll go nowhere, I would imagine. But yeah, that's there you go, Roberto.
Yeah, Quinny, I'm with you. I can't believe I miss him. Now I miss him.
Well, listen, don't miss him. He's not to be missed. Come on.
That's how bad everything is now.
It was, God, it's been bad for so long at FIFA. It's hard to even.
But nothing like this, Glenn. This is unprecedented. Between the variable pricing and all these, everything is anti-fan. Everything they're doing is anti-fan. Even the what do you call it? All the events that they were going to have.
Charging. They're charging now.
They're charging for those. Yeah. And then some of them, even like the one in Liberty State Park, got canceled because of all of this.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like I said, I guess maybe I'm just, it's more hope than anything, is that once it gets here and the games start, that's what we'll be focused on. One of this great world event where we're going to see, so many some of the top players in the world, players who will, earn a lot of money based on their performances, teams that will emerge that you would never have expected. All that's going to happen.
All the stuff is going to happen. I know. And, it will captivate us once it starts. But all these things that are happening right now are just so dismotivating.
So locally, for those who are in tune with us that are in this metropolitan area, Billie Jean King Tennis Center in Queens, right next to where Etihad Park's going to be launching next year. Manhattan has Rockefeller Plaza, and then Sports Illustrated Stadium in Harrison, New Jersey. So those are the three, I guess you would say, main World Cup fan festivals that I've read about so far. I've been trying to keep track of some of this. And so those sound like they'll be good areas to, all different in their makeup, but at least some areas to have some fun. And I was looking at some of the tune-ups, the tune-up matches, Roberto, and there's going to be two at Sports Illustrated Stadium. Saturday, June 6th, Scotland, Bolivia. That one doesn't excite me, but it's still,
I still feel bad for Bolivia. They're getting eliminated the way they did.
Yeah. And then on Sunday, June 7th, Morocco, Norway, which
that should be really good.
Yeah.
Morocco semifinalist last time around.
Yep. So, and Norway is Erling Haaland. So everybody's gonna watch Norway and see what they can do.
Shockingly, Quinny putting up Scotland flags.
Okay,
Shocking.
thank you, Quinny. Yeah. How about our boy Tata Castellanos getting a brace today for West Ham? He's got 4 goals in his 12 matches that he's played for them, and they are just outside of the relegation.
No, they're just outside.
They're
Yes,
just
correct.
outside of the relegation zone. So
They've
jumped his performance
jumped
today.
Spurs.
They're 2 points ahead.
Yep.
And
Spurs has a game in hand, so I'm hoping that Spurs is able to win on Sunday. They play Sunderland away. They have a better record away than they do at home. Spurs does, and now they have a new coach, and everybody seems to be in love with the coach. So let's see if things change. They've had the worst in the last 5 games. They've had the worst record in the EPL. The 4 losses and 1 tie. So
I'm looking at that.
They've been brutal.
There's a lot of red there.
Yes, there is.
And I don't mean Liverpool or Manchester.
The last game they
United.
won was last year. They haven't won a game this year.
Well,
in EPL, they did win in Champions League.
Game in hand, 2 points behind West Ham to get out of the bottom. It's Burnley and Wolves. They're done.
They're
Anyways,
done.
West Ham beat the Wolves today. Beat Wolves today 4-0. So,
and then the only other team that's involved, well, you got Nottingham Forest, which beat Spurs last week 3-0, but and so they still have to play. But Leeds is involved as well. So those are, it's going to be 4 teams, to avoid 1 spot.
all right. Well, there was one other thing I wanted to show you, Roberto. I thought I'd close. First of all, just a reminder, we've got the splashdown of Artemis 2. Just as a kid, I love the Apollo mission. I'm not into science or astronomy, but it's just amazing stuff. And so it's really geared towards getting somebody back walking on the moon. Not this time, but
Soon.
perhaps by 2028, I guess, is what they're hoping for if things go well. So their splashdown is at a little up past 8 tonight, and the pictures they've sent back, unbelievable. But
the key is a reentry. The key is a reentry into Earth's atmosphere.
Yeah, so it's they are to be celebrated when they land. It was really wonderful. Now, the other major celebration going on, and this one in particular in the Hudson River, is that you can now actually fish in the Hudson, catch a fish, and eat it. Some of them, not all of them.
The first word is key. Some. But
how do you determine that?
Okay, so if you have 3 eyes on the fish, probably send it back.
Some fish caught in the Hudson River can now be consumed. Now, how do you determine? So you catch the fish. Are there certain mercury meters that are out there?
I have no. But if a Geiger counter goes off, I put it back.
Yeah. Well, I'm probably not going to go fishing in the Hudson. And if I did catch a fish, I'm probably not going to eat it. I'm not going to risk it. But that is somewhat, satisfying news that there are certain parts of the Hudson that might have been not
that have been
that are so
up.
polluted that you couldn't. Now
Right.
maybe clean things up a little bit. So
I'm glad that they've done that and they've cleaned it up.
yeah. All right.
Because it's right outside my window, so I like to see a nice clean river.
Yeah, that would be cool. You could.
I do have Hudson River views.
You could cast. Yeah. Get your reel out right from your apartment window.
It would be a long reel. I'll tell you that.
So Vancouver, as we close, 8 of their first 9 games at home, and we know why, because they're going to be hosting World Cups or World Cup matches, 7 of them, and so they have to clear the way for the World Cup. So they've got a real awkward schedule, Vancouver. But the New York City's in
New
this.
York does too. So
yeah, so they're 5-1, and all their games have been at home, Vancouver. So they're doing well at home this year because that's the only place they're playing.
Yeah, they are. And in the last game, for the first time since they've been in MLS, they were able to score 2 stoppage time goals to turn a defeat into victory. So that is the first time in MLS for them that they've done that. And it was in a Cascadia game against Portland. They were trailing 2-1 going into stoppage time. And then Mueller scored a penalty, and Berhalter, with a lovely goal, I heard, got the winner and sent Portland packing with nothing. And everybody went nuts, and a pretty big crowd too. It was like over 25,000, I believe. So,
yeah, they were. Yep. When we got home from our game, I turned it on. I got a chance to watch the last 20 minutes. It was an incredible comeback. It really was, because Portland was playing well, I would say. And then there was a disputed penalty, which shouldn't have been disputed. Anthony handling the ball in the area, but it was one of those pretty close shot. The arm was extended, but can he move it in time? Those are those difficult judgment ones. And then, and Berhalter, the thing about Berhalter is that he made a tackle at the other end of the field, got up and ran as hard as he could to get himself to the position at the top of the box to score that game winner. So, he's, every move that guys like him or Aiden Morris or any of these guys are making is important. Greg Berhalter, not Greg Berhalter.
Greg Berhalter was very happy, I'm sure, as well.
Yes. Yeah, he was very happy. And but Mauricio Pochettino was probably happy too.
Yeah. I mean, they're all fighting to be on that roster. And now, especially with Patrick Aguimon out, an extra spot opens up. It doesn't necessarily have to be a forward, because you can use, you still have 3 forwards that are going between Haji Wright, Ricardo Pepi, and Balogun, who is like the starter. He scored another goal. He's just been ridiculous how good he is. So, but then you also
they weren't going to bring 4 strikers anyway, Roberto. I know we shared our rosters last week. I think you had 4, I had 3. There's just no way you bring 4 strikers. So somebody would have had to, get the bad call, So now I agree with you. I don't think there's not a chance that a striker's coming in for Aguimon. It's going to be, somebody else who's right on the fringe.
It's going to be Sendejas, Luna.
Yeah. Right.
It might be Berhalter. It might be, some of these other guys that are in midfield. Yeah.
Maybe this is the opening for your boy Zendejas.
It should be. He deserves to be there. He's playing very well. He can fill a multitude of roles, and he understands Pulisic very well. They played together for a long time on youth teams and everything. They're great friends, great communication. And he's got to get out of his doldrums. That it seems now, if we want to take a turn into this, that a lot of the problems that Pulisic seem to be coming from the personal side, and that it's affecting his games. So
you believe all that stuff on Instagram?
I believe that I believe that effect. If what is being reported is true, okay, then I absolutely believe that affects. Trust me, as somebody who has dealt with people with mental issues and personal things, and the times that I was seconds away from going into a broadcast that I was like, put on blast.
But be more specific about
it. And it affected totally the way I broadcast.
I understand that, Roberto, but I don't understand what you're saying.
So the thing was that the woman that he was dating found out. Now this is what's being reported. I'm not confirming any of it, but the woman that he was dating, and she put it out there on social media, caught the fact that he had a Raya account. So Raya is like a very high-end dating app like Hinge and some of the other ones, Tinder, it's all that, but this is like a higher end. And she found out that he had an account there while they were dating. And then she went on social media, confirmed all that, and basically, made some sarcastic, remarks.
I did see some of that.
Okay.
But what's a high end? What does that mean? High end dating app? What does that mean? High end? Only rich people, or what?
It's basically like celebrities and things like that.
All right. Okay.
Okay. So I'm not on it. I didn't try, but they wouldn't let me on. If they let me in, let me know how. I'm single. So and then all of a sudden today she comes out and she says that things were taken out of context and it wasn't, and respect their privacy, et cetera, et cetera. I went back and looked at what she said. I can't see anything that could have been taken out of context, but obviously it seems, again, without any confirmation, seems somebody got to her and basically said, you need to change this story and change it quickly. And so there we are. Hey, I just hope that everything works out. They get their act together. If they stay together, then they let them be happy. If they don't stay together, then we hope that they find wonderful partners to be with. But, it seems that it has affected him mentally because the timetable hits. And there's no way that your personal life doesn't interfere with your professional life. It does.
Well, I believe we're all humans, and you're absolutely right. That's because you can't. Sometimes we put these people on a pedestal that, it's been said for years, and it's true, and we see these people only as great athletes, great entertainers, great musicians, whatever it is, but you forget about what's going on elsewhere. Why are you laughing? And what's the comment?
You get invited, if you know.
All right.
Thank you, Harry.
All right. Well, one thing, we're going to invite you into our broadcast on Saturday. How is that? And it's a West Coast game, and we're going to give you a reasonable East Coast time. What more could you ask for? So kickoff is 7:40. Roberto and I start our pregame shows, he in Spanish, myself in English, at 7:15 on the New York City FC Radio Network, NYCFC app, TuneIn app. And then Matty Lawrence and I will have our NYCFC pregame live at 6:30. So all nice and reasonable, even though it's on the left coast. Isn't that nice?
Yes, I'm thrilled. No, I mean, I don't want to do a 10:30 game.
So
that's what it normally would have been. So I'm very happy that they're doing a 4:30 matinee over at BC Place. Lovely BC Place.
I anticipate, and we anticipate, I'm sure, both of us, after watching Vancouver as we have in preparation and seeing what New York City has done this year, two teams that I think have a lot of similarities. Maybe the biggest difference is Brian White is a striker and Nico Fernandez-Mercado is not, but they both have 5 goals. So there you go.
They do. So we've got the 2 highest scoring teams in the league.
Beautiful.
17 and 14 going at each other. I predict a 0-0 tie.
All right. I like that. I'm not making any predictions, but I can't wait to come back and see what it is next week. And I will wager a pretty decent amount of money that you're wrong. But if we're not going to wager. We can't do that.
It's
right?
like
we probably aren't allowed to do that. Am I going to get suspended if I talk about? I don't want to wager anything.
No.
Gentlemen,
you're allowed to.
Okay.
We could be sponsored by Fanatics or Bet365 or any of those Sports Illustrated betting app and whatever.
What is the Polymarket? Maybe we could be Polymarket sponsored.
Maybe. I mean, they're basically looking to get their name out everywhere. What a better place than to sponsor us.
Correct. That's true. And then we can start, then we'll start giving our odds on things.
There you go.
All right, Roberto. So thanks so much for joining us tonight. We really look forward to sharing with you our commentary tomorrow on the New York City FC Radio Network. So for Roberto, I'm Glenn. Have a great night, everybody.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast NYCFC Views on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.